Calling case 251-403-576, State of Utah versus Tyler James Robinson. Could you state your name?
Tyler James Robinson.
This afternoon, the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk appeared before a judge by video from the Utah County Jail. Thanks for joining us tonight for 2 News at 5 o'clock. I'm Brian Schnee.
And I'm Jamie McGriff. Earlier today, Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray announced he was seeking the death penalty against Tyler Robinson.
Robinson has now been charged with aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, 2 counts of obstruction of justice, 2 counts of witness tampering, and committing a violent offense in the presence of a child. His next hearing, which is a waiver hearing, is set for September 29th.
Jim Spivak was at today's press conference where the county attorney announced those charges.
Jim, you were also at the courthouse for Robinson's initial appearance. What stood out to you today?
Well, as you know, these first appearances aren't very long. This one was no different. The only thing we heard from Robinson, you just heard him say his name after the judge asked him to state his name, but it was really what he allegedly texted to his roommate, which was also his romantic partner, in just the minutes after Charlie Kirk was shot and killed, that prosecutors say they built their entire case on. Here in the courthouse behind us, the judge read Robinson the charges that he is now facing. Prosecutors also let the judge know that just a few minutes prior to the hearing, they had filed paperwork letting the judge and the court know that they were going to seek the death penalty in this case. That is something that we heard from Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray a little bit earlier in the day, about 3 hours before this hearing. But the prosecutors also let the judge know that they would be seeking the death penalty in this case because of the aggravated murder charge that makes this a capital murder case. One of the aggravating enhancement factors, according to the charging documents here that I have in my hand, it's 10 pages long, but one of them, and this is one of the things that stood out to me, is victim targeting. That was one of the enhancements. It says that Tyler Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression. That elevates it to a capital murder case, thus allowing prosecutors to go forward and seek the death penalty. During the news conference earlier today that started at about 12:30, we had a chance to ask the Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray a couple questions. With respect to the death penalty, he mentioned that that decision was his and his alone. It was asked of him, was there any sort of outside pressure by maybe the Trump administration or the state to seek the death penalty? And Gray said that decision was his and his alone. And I followed up and I asked, did you seek the counsel of Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica Kirk, in seeking the death penalty? That's a question he did not answer. But one of the other big takeaways for me was in the charging documents. It's about 2 pages of a text exchange, which I know is getting a lot of attention. It's really sort of centering around the focus of the prosecution's case here. Reading directly from the charging document, it says that there was a text exchange between Robinson and his roommate that started on September 10th, where allegedly Robinson texted his roommate and said, "Look under my keyboard, there's a note there." And when the roommate read the note said, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and I'm going to take it." And then that text exchange continues to allegedly go back and forth between Robinson and his roommate, who again, he was romantically linked to, talking about the roommate asking, "Did you do this?" And Robinson allegedly saying, "Yes, I did do it." So Brian and Jamie, those were a couple of the big takeaways for me. Robinson will be scheduled in court a little bit later this month for a scheduling conference. But the text messages right here, I think, are the crux of this case right now. And one final point that I'll make, I asked the Utah County prosecutor, is this essentially legally an admission, a confession? And I was told that's up for a judge to decide. Guys?
Jim, thank you. I know coming up here at the end of the month for that next hearing, there's discussion about who may be able to represent Tyler Robinson. Do you have any other insight about how they would move forward in determining representation here for Robinson, who was declared as indigent by the judge earlier today?
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. So you just mentioned he was declared indigent. The judge looked at his financials, said that he doesn't really have the resources to retain private counsel, defense counsel. So a public defender will be assigned to him. The state needs to look at a public defender that is what's called Rule 8 qualified. Rule 8 is a section of Utah code here that essentially says that these attorneys have some qualifications that make them eligible to defend someone that is potentially facing a capital murder case or death row. So they're going to go through that process. They're going to see which public defender is eligible, Rule 8 eligible, to defend him and represent him, and we may find out more information at that upcoming hearing as to exactly who that's going to be. But not any attorney could represent him. There are attorneys that have to have certain qualifications to represent a defendant that is facing the death penalty, guys.
All right, Jim Spiewak, thank you for that report. And here's a bit more information on Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray, who filed those formal charges today. He has served as county attorney since January of 2023. Gray defeated incumbent David Levitt in the 2022 Republican primary and ran unopposed in the general election. Before being elected county attorney, Gray served for 28 years in the Utah Attorney General's office, where he argued and won cases at the Utah and U.S. Supreme Courts. Despite several requests to talk with Governor Cox about the Tyler Robinson case, after he went on several national news media outlets to discuss it, we haven't received any answers.
Natalie Wattis spent the day tracking him down at local events. She joins us live from the Capitol tonight. Natalie.
That's right. Governor Cox was at several events today in Salt Lake City and West Jordan. I was able to speak with him briefly at one of those events. The first event was a fireside chat about energy in Utah at the Rice-Eccles Stadium at the University of Utah early this morning.
Energy is so critical.
After the event concluded, I caught up with the governor on his way to the elevator about his recent appearances on different national news programs, talking about the Tyler Robinson case.
Hey, Governor Cox. Natalie with KUTV. Question. There's been some concerns raised about discussion of the Robinson case in national media. Are you concerned about prejudicing that
No
case
concerns at all. None whatsoever.
Later on, the governor had another speaking engagement in West Jordan, where Utahns who had reached the age of 100 and older were celebrated.
Congratulations.
After the event, I tried to catch up with him again to try to ask a few more questions regarding the case. But we were told he would not be taking any questions, not even about the event. And when we tried to speak with him on the way out, he left out of the side door. I wanted to ask how it was that Tyler Robinson's mugshot was released, despite state law saying that can only happen if someone is convicted of a crime, and what provision under state law allowed the photo to be released. I also wanted to know how local law enforcement and the FBI were collaborating on the case. And I did send those questions to the governor's office today, but I have not heard back. Live at the Capitol, Natalie Wattis, KUTV 2 News.
Natalie, thank you very much. FBI Director Kash Patel says he does not see his posts on social media during the manhunt for Charlie Kirk's killer as an issue.
Could I have been more careful in my verbiage and included an A subject instead of subject? Sure. I don't see it as a mistake. I see it as something working with the public to identify that there was a subject in custody.
Patel faces criticism for his social media posts in the wake of Kirk's assassination last Wednesday. He posted as the manhunt unfolded, quote, "The subject for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk is in custody." Less than 2 hours later, Patel revealed that person was released. Democrats on Capitol Hill and some conservatives argue the post made the community feel like it was safe from the assailant when they were not. Patel argues he was just telling the world what the FBI was doing as it was doing it. Now, in the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, members of both parties are pointing to social media algorithms as a place making so many Americans angry and divided.
National correspondent Matt Gelka has the story from Washington.
In the hours after suspected Charlie Kirk shooter Tyler Robinson was taken into custody, Utah's governor didn't mince words when talking about the role he believes social media played.
Social media is a cancer on our society right now.
He doubled down over the weekend.
Cancer probably isn't a strong enough word. What we have done, especially to our kids, it took us a decade to realize how evil these algorithms are.
The president also believed the internet played a role in the suspected shooter's life.
It seems like his wonderful parents brought in a wonderful neighborhood, smart guy. It looks like he was radicalized over the internet, and it's radicalized on the left.
But social media algorithms don't follow a political ideology. The goal is just to keep people glued to screens and scrolling.
Do you believe that social media is one of the instruments radicalizing America and inciting violence?
Well, it's not. My belief is based on the data, and the data shows that social media is wildly out of control.
The internet is an accelerant. It is driving extremism in our country. It's driving us apart, left and right.
The social media algorithm is meant to keep the user hooked or engaged by usually feeding content that's either solidifying someone's beliefs or making them angry. Notre Dame computer science professor Tim Weniger says the outrage cycle is by design to make money.
Social media, they sell more ads and they make more money if people are engaged, and people are more engaged when they're angry.
Is it healthy to keep people this angry, and where does the government come in here?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't think so. I think that there's roles for the government to play, but I wouldn't call for restrictions in speech or censorship. I think that there's ways you can regulate the algorithm itself without regulating speech.
Utah has attempted to enact laws regulating social media with things like age verification and allowing parents to sue for potential harm to minors. They faced multiple legal challenges claiming First Amendment violations. Reporting in Washington, I'm Matt Gelka.